Welcome to our channel. If you haven't liked or subscribed to our channel, please do so. We share trip reviews, tips and tricks, and we also feature special supplements or items that we're using so that you can be healthier and get educated more on allergy-friendly products and health things. So we just want to say hello, and also this is a trip review for our New York City trip where both of our husbands had a conference there, so we piggybacked on in hopes of getting to do some restaurants and just travel to New York, see the sights, visit the parks, and have lots of fun. And we're going to break this into two parts because we had so many restaurants that we covered over the course of 4 days. So we thought it would just make it simpler to cover it like 4 in one and 4 in the other, and just let you know overall like the experience that we had and how we handled those experiences. So this is Dana, co-owner of Allergy Navigator, and welcome to our channel.
Yeah, so we went to New York in September of this year, so it was the middle of September. And before going, we planned our restaurants. There were a couple that were spontaneous when we were there, but for the most part, we had planned our restaurants. And Deborah's daughter, Elizabeth, sent out this whole list of gluten-free restaurants. So the one that
stores,
she had a whole
she had a wish list. She should have went with this.
Yeah. So like one of the major gluten-free restaurants popped up. It was Senza Gluten. And oh God, we were so excited about going there, weren't we?
Yeah.
So
our husbands were even excited for us.
Yeah.
Like they just couldn't wait.
You have to check out the menu online. It is scrumptious. Everything that they talk about is so delicious. Your mouth waters as you're reading. So it's definitely worth the checkout. And if you're in New York, my goodness, please go over. And their story is interesting because they said, it's on their website, you can check it out, but they said that they started their restaurant because they had some gluten-free friends that complained about not being able to get some tasty gluten-free items. So they created a restaurant menu picking from those things that are usually not safely found gluten-free in other places.
Yeah, so the whole restaurant's dedicated to gluten-free options. Everything from appetizers, entrees, and desserts.
Yeah.
And it's just a really elegant setting. I mean, it was probably one of the prettiest restaurants that we visited. It was picture perfect, and the food was beautiful, and it was Italian. I mean, every display, everything in there was just picture perfect.
So let's jump into the actual review. So we sat down, table of 4, and the table was set with a white tablecloth, and there were plates already there, but the plates weren't really used. They kind of took the plates away as they started serving the foods and stuff like that, but the silverware was there. And that's one of the things that we had issues with, is that we don't like for the silverware to be on the table already. We like for the silverware to be served wrapped in a napkin, because that's what you would do in a more formal place. But if they're sitting out, then there's possibility of contamination.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. And so it could either be in a linen napkin, it could be pre-wrapped in plastic, it could be in a dispenser, just something where it's not touched, you not thinking like it's touched someone's hands, or it's been on the table where maybe the table didn't get cleaned and there's like traces of nuts or something.
And then there were like salt and pepper on the table, but condiments were not on the table. And we also understand that condiments can look kind of tacky in a more formal restaurant. And actually later on, we actually talk about a restaurant that served us the condiment in a cute little single serving jar, which was is the perfect solution to that tackiness of a condiment being on the table. But anyway, so we ordered a full meal. We had appetizers, we had dinner, and we had dessert, and then of course we had our beverages. But you guys, Deborah, her husband, and my husband, you all got to order something different for an appetizer. What was it?
Yeah, it was the baked cauliflower, and I think it had like Parmesan cheese and also some red sauce. It was baked. You really thought you were having an Italian meal.
Yeah,
it was so good.
It kind of looked like what Italian meatballs would look like coming out in a little skillet. And it was covered in the cheese.
It was hearty. It was very hearty. It was
mouth is watering just saying it. So then I wasn't able to have that one because I have a grain allergy, so I can't have wheat, rice, corn, or oats. And this restaurant, although it was every single thing was gluten-free, there were some things that had other grains in them. So the waiters were exceptional at working with me about picking things. They were excessively knowledgeable about
it was amazing.
It was. They knew everything about everything. And so I felt totally safe. So I got the calamari, which I had not had I can't remember the last time I had calamari actually. So it was delicious, and I dove right in. And that had a bean flour, which is actually important in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So then we ordered dinner. And
yes. And I got the lamb chops and had like fingerling potatoes with some roasted peppers, and it was just prepared to perfection, and it was probably the best lamb I've ever had.
And they were passing it around the table. I couldn't have it because it had a corn thing in it, but they were passing it around the table, and everybody was like,
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
I got the potato gnocchi, which I hadn't had gnocchi in forever, so it was absolutely delicious. I don't really think that we spoke a whole lot. Everybody just kind of just shoved it in their faces.
We're gonna pass it around. Right.
And then we got to get dessert, which is very rare for Deborah and I. We don't get dessert very often. So you all got the...
it was a chocolate eclair, and I have dreamed of these since I couldn't have them, since I have them. It's probably been 10 years since I've had something like this, but it was truly amazing. It was worth the wait.
You all, oh man, that thing looked so good.
Yeah.
I again couldn't have it because it had flour, it had rice flour in it, but I got the tiramisu, which was delicious.
Yes, it looked amazing.
And I have to swallow you because my mouth is watering just talking about all of this. And the whole meal was delicious.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
And so let's talk about the wait staff. Yeah. We touched on it just a few seconds ago, but they were extremely knowledgeable about everything on the menu.
Every ingredient, like ingredients in general. Mm-hmm. Like they really knew what they were, what they had in them, and where there might be some factors of risk, you know, involved for you, especially because you have a lot of grain allergies or...
And you know, they weren't too proud to continue to take notes too, because I was telling him some things and he was making notes, even with the knowledge that he had of the ingredients. And I can appreciate that. You know, ask me 100 questions if you need to. I just need to enjoy my meal and not have a reaction. Yeah. So that'd be great. And that's what they did. And he even had to go to the kitchen and ask a question and come back. They were very gracious about it. I never once felt like I was being burdensome to anyone. And I don't think it interfered with our experience at the table. What do you think?
Not at all. Yeah, I think that was part of the experience there. Is you can come here, you can feel safe, you can ask any questions. We want you to feel comfortable, enjoy your meal. It was, you know, it was a great dinner experience.
Now, so if we talk about the menu, although it was fantastic and everything that we had was delicious, the menu we only gave 3 stars because they were labeled for like gluten and dairy and stuff, but they weren't labeled for the 11 total most common allergens like shellfish and sesame and other things. So that's why we gave them the
I feel like I definitely want to know those things. So you know
I said 3 stars, but we actually gave them 2 stars. Yeah, because of that. So these are all those little tweaks that can be made to help make it a little bit safer. I mean, if you're already putting GF on there, what's a few more? And in Europe, they do that. They have a whole list of, letters underneath every meal. So
and they knew the ingredients so well, there was no reason not to. Like
it's true. Yeah, just a little tweak like that. So then we talked about the table, we talked about the experience, we talked about the menu, we talked about the wait staff, and I really can't say much more than that they were phenomenal. But at the end, I got a reaction. I had a swelling reaction. It was pretty bad. It was one of the worst ones I've had in a while. But it had nothing to do with them. Okay, so I have to say that. It was the calamari, I think, because it had a bean flour mixed in it. And I had known way back that, beans could be somewhat of an issue when they are broken down in a flour like that for me. But I was like, oh, that was so long ago, and I've gotten so many things back, and I haven't had a single problem for so many years. Well, it's probably because I've been avoiding it. And then I had it, and I didn't just have like 1 or 2 pieces. Like I said, I ordered calamari. Deborah shared an appetizer with my husband and her husband. I literally ate all the calamari myself. Okay, so... So it was a lot to be ingesting, and then
at one time
it is
for our first time.
I should have tasted it and waited. I just dove right in.
It was.
I went after it. So one of that's the end of that restaurant review. Overall, we gave it 3 stars, but it was only because of the menu that needed to be tweaked.
Yes, and then the sauces, but I really felt comfortable with their sauces because they truly knew all the ingredients, but we like to see like the ingredient list. So I think that nicer restaurants like this, even if they had an allergy-friendly menu that listed ingredients for their special sauces if they're not going to have them on a label. Then at least have them when they're available if people feel like it makes them more comfortable to know.
Because it came out in the little cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a little bit iffy even when you're in a place where you feel comfortable and you're still like, oh,
yeah,
what is that? You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, great place to go. If you're gluten-free, make sure that you ask all the questions and let them know of any situation that you may have had in the past even. But yeah, definitely go.
Yeah. It was a very good meal.
So then one of the other restaurants that we went to, so let me tell you where we had to stay. We were staying in the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. So Endeavor and I aren't partiers. I know it looks like we are, but we so aren't. And not in that way anyway, like be in the middle of Times Square kind of situation. So we were desperately looking for some green space to find our zen. And Bryant Park, boom, you know, just like a real quick, 7-minute walk?
It was like 3 blocks away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was like a little slice of heaven right in the middle of New York City.
Yeah, next to the public library, the New York City Public Library. It was just a beautiful setting. It was.
Okay, so you've seen Sex and the City, right? Because that's where she does that in the movie. She goes there and they were meant to get married. So while we went to Bryant Park Grill, they were talking about how that was the library that it was backed up to. And I was like, what? Is there only one library in New York? Long story short, we go in, it's beautiful. And that was the place that was in Sex and the City, the movie.
Yeah, that whole area is a destination. We really didn't even want to leave, like between doing the tour of the library and then going over to Bryant Park. And it was just so beautiful and picturesque. I mean, you felt like you were in another country because of the way that they designed the trees, the landscape, and the greenery. And had tables throughout. You could sit on the green space, walk on the green space, or they had paths. And it was bordered around with lots of, I think it's kind of like a food destination, really, because that whole city block had restaurants and things that just kind of welcomed you from the park. And the one that we found that we actually visited the entire time and kind of got stuck there going back and back and back.
I think we had dinner, we had lunch. We had lunch twice. And dinner once?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was Bryant Park Grill was the main one we went to twice. And then we did Bryant Park Cafe, and they both, they pleased us. Both places were awesome.
It was.
A very good experience.
So let's talk about that as a breakdown for the review then. So Bryant Park Grill, we met there for lunch one day. And the waiter was a little bit aloof, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Chased her down and stuff.
Okay, I got extra menu items that day just because she wasn't a great listener, which when I think back and did the review, I was thinking, really that would have made me a little nervous thinking, did she hear anything I said? But she did bring I was reassuring because when she brought the plated stuff out, there was no sauces on my food. They were separated just as I had requested, and also no bun, and it was marked for allergy. So I did feel confident that she did hear me, but there were some things that she made.
So that's the contrast, though, between going to Senza, where they're actually taking notes and they are determined to make sure that you aren't infected, to going to, Bryant Park Grill, where the waiter was a little aloof and you didn't know for sure.
Yeah,
you were on guard
so
you don't want to be rude to the waiter, but you keep wanting to ask, is this, and
because then I wonder, was I just lucky?
Right. Yeah. But you all ate, so Deborah and her husband got there a little earlier than we did, so they had actually already eaten by the time we got there. So when we got there, we ordered food. They had been sitting at the table. So was the table cleaned when you all got there?
Yes, it was cleaned. And actually, that one had a cloth on it. So we had picked a table that had fresh linen in it, and the silverware and stuff was wrapped in linen napkins that they brought to us. We saw where they just had brought them out clean and wrapped. So I felt like that one really passed all those tests except for the sauces. And so I just had those done separately on the side, and I chose not to eat them.
Okay. I got a salad when we got there, and actually the salad was delicious. And she did go with me over the different dressings, and she touched on I touched on the ingredients of what I know that most dressings are made of. Okay, so here's a quick tip, pro tip. Always take your phone. So for example, if you are getting a dressing on your salad and you're not sure what typically is in that dressing, just do a quick search on your phone and be like, search for what's in a creamy Italian. I don't know.
Yes.
Look it up, okay, and see how you would make it at home. If that's how you would make it at home, most likely that's how they would make it in the restaurant. Would probably have a little bit more like cream and stuff because they're going to make it so tasty
Richer,
for you.
yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
be richer. But at least you would have an idea of what the
And ask
ingredients are.
questions. Yeah, you can ask questions.
And then
Yeah.
use that recipe to say, well, I know that some creamy Italians have gluten for thickening. Could you make sure with the chef that this creamy Italian doesn't have gluten in it? You know, or for in my case, I have to say flour because flour is used for thickening, and it could be corn flour, rice flour, wheat flour, oat flour, whatever. So pro tip right there. So she did go over with me the ingredients on some of those, but again, like I said, I knew some of the ingredients in some, so I know which ones to already skip.
I think you got the balsamic, didn't you?
I went with the vinaigrette.
I did too.
So you're pretty safe with the vinaigrette.
Yeah.
It's usually an oil, like lemon juice and like salt and pepper, and then
Some
the
spices
herbs
and seasonings.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
But don't take my word for it. Always
Yes,
check.
Yeah,
Always
I still check every time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
because I have to worry about
Always.
nuts getting
Yeah.
added.
And then if you're completely without a choice, you can make your own. Like for example, I will ask for that. You're getting it from a kitchen that runs constantly, right? So I will ask for honey,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will ask for mustard,
Yes.
and I can make my own honey mustard.
Yes,
But
that's
don't
true.
ask for honey mustard dressing because it has preservatives and all the mixtures and everything to make it. So make your own honey with mustard, and you can just mix it at the table.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so you get creative when you want taste, right? Okay, so then overall, what did you give the Bryant Park?
It was 4 stars, and the only things that I found that were, a little adding risk or that we'd like to see them do different is their menu. Their menu was only marked for vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free, and they didn't have all the top 11 allergens. So, I would look at the ingredients and just ask for what I wanted and to make sure they were safe. But that was an area of concern. And then also everything came out in dipping cups, so you couldn't see the ingredients, whether it was barbecue, honey mustard. They had some homemade sauces too that were spicy, and their dressings and stuff. So just knowing that, I think that's the only thing we took off, half a star for each one of those, because they did do everything right.
That's right. Yeah. So definitely go check it out. This beautiful space. People are playing music on the lawn and laying out and talking, and it's very very European.
Yeah.
It's very nice. So we go. Okay, so our next review is Locoanut, and we were in Greenwich Village, and we had just gone to the Chelsea Market, which I've never been, and it's so cool. So go.
Yeah.
And we were Googling gluten-free restaurants near us, and Locoanut popped up within like a 2 or 3 block walk. So we're like, let's go. Oh my goodness.
It was a great
we
find.
went.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a little gem.
It was. And it was very small, very quaint. You could tell it was a local place that probably everybody with our problems eats at.
Yeah. So the good thing about Locoanut is like it's a perfect drop in, grab a lunch, and pop out, because you can eat there. There's a few little tables. It's a little tight. You can eat there, and there's some tables that are set outside. But I think mainly it's for go in, grab it, and go.
Get your lunch or dinner from this local place already made for you. There was juices, smoothies.
Yeah,
everything
salads,
yes.
Like bowls, like quinoa bowls and things like that, already made in the cooler, ready to go. Everything was labeled on the little box that it came in. And
they were known for being allergy friendly too.
And you'll see in the pictures that we share what the little bowls look like, what their menu look like, so you can see that. I gave this place
5 stars.
5 stars.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you walk up, it's not a sit and serve. Okay, you walk up, you order at the counter, which the young lady that was behind the counter was so helpful. And it's so small that she's right there with the chef. So I'm asking a question, and she just turns around and asks the question, and it gives it back. But she helped me. I created kind of my own meal based on something that started out theirs, and I made it my own to make it safe for me. And she was so helpful. And then my husband and your husband ordered a burger, and they went with a gluten-free bun. And they had some questions about that and everything. But she just guided you along. It was on an iPad that you were ordering and everything. And I would definitely recommend going back. It was extremely tasty, extremely clean, like all fresh ingredients. All sauces are made in-house.
Yes,
yeah. So none of the preservative.
It was really fresh. Yeah, that's what I enjoyed about it the most.
Yeah. And it was extremely filling. I love a good hearty salad,
Yes.
like with the
Yes.
potatoes and stuff, like the sweet potatoes and stuff. And I love that. It's so good. So yeah, 5 stars on Mocha Nuts.
So well done, Mocha Nuts.
Yeah, well done. And then the last one, which you won't believe this, okay? This poor restaurant got 0 stars. 0 stars.
I know we've eaten there before, but
yeah, we
different
ate
experience.
Yeah, so we went to the very same restaurant and we ate there last year. And I remember what I ordered because when I'm in a gluten-free. Okay, first of all, let me tell you the name of it. It's called John's on 12th. It's an Italian restaurant. It's extremely well known, very historic to New York. I mean, it literally housed one of the speakeasies back from Prohibition, and it has the
Original candle.
that has been burning nonstop since Prohibition. So we'll have to show you the picture of that. It's really cool. It stands really tall. So anyway, we went there last time before we went to a concert. We went to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden, which was amazing. So I know last time I got gluten-free pasta, super safe, with a ton of marinara and like a bolognese sauce, had a little bit of meat sauce in it. Delicious. I should have done that this time. Last time though, we also went very early.
Yeah.
It was like as soon as it opened, because we had the concert starting at like 7 or something like that. We didn't want to miss the opening acts.
Yes, and so it was like a lot less chaos going on. You kind of felt like you were having a nice, relaxing dining experience, and the person who was waiting on you had plenty of time to answer all of your questions. They were not rushed.
They even gave us a little tour of the restaurant, told us all about the candle. That's how we knew about that.
So we felt much safer. And this time it was like you were just crammed in there. You were a number. They're trying to get through you. And I ordered the same food as I did last time. I got the chicken limon.
Yeah.
And it was fabulous last time, and it was still fabulous. I'm not gonna lie. It was awesome.
I also got the chicken dish that she got, and I ran it by the waiter, who was somewhat arrogant. I got kicked under the table from my husband to not be rude, but I had to stand up for myself. And I wasn't being rude. I was just letting him know that I recognized his tone.
Yes.
That's it. So he was very passive about my concerns, just flip it with my questions. He did go to the kitchen when I had a question, but I don't know if he went to the kitchen for a question that I had or because he had to go to the kitchen anyway. And he was like, well, I'll just let her think that I asked a question. Yeah. And then he answers my question about the food, mainly, does it have grains in the sauce? And he, as he's walking by with his hands full, he over the shoulder says, no, it doesn't. And I'm just like, but then Deborah said that she had it last time and didn't have any issues. So I got it. The only thing that I changed was it comes with spaghetti, I think. A noodle of some sort, right?
It's gluten-free. It's like the penne pasta.
Yeah. And I switched mine out for vegetables. I think I got the broccolini. Yeah, it was a broccolini, which is what I usually do. I actually usually use vegetables for my pasta fillers. So if I get a bowl of anything, I might use vegetables as my foundation, and I'll build on that.
And we really didn't even eat a whole lot of food there. So we got one appetizer, and it was cantaloupe with prosciutto on it, which was delicious. I've been making it at home.
That was actually really, really good.
But then you wonder, you don't really know where the cross-contamination came from because, again, you ran through the appetizer, and we ran through our meals with him, and he was, he really didn't have time to answer our questions,
I'm not sure that he would have taken the time, though. If we had had the waiter that we had last time, which I didn't see him this time. I was kind of looking out for him. I didn't see him this time. The reason I remember is because we actually took pictures of everything we were there last time, and I had seen his picture in my phone. So yeah, I'm not sure that the personalities were the same, that he cared enough. But maybe he did. Maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm just saying I had a terrible reaction later, and it lasted for like a day and a half, and it's stunk.
So I think, and so not just because of the reaction, the grading, the reason why they didn't get any stars was because the table was, it had the silverware out on the table, unwrapped. The table didn't present well when they brought sauces and stuff. They also didn't bring, the plates were kind of like you felt like you could get cross-contamination.
Yeah. They were stacked in, and they passed them out like this, so we're not even sure where they came from. Where were they sitting? In the kitchen? Were they sitting on the table?
So if you had an appetizer on one or bread, because I think we had bread at the table, there was just a lot of things that were a little more risky there. But then the fact that the waiter actually made the whole waiter experience.
Yeah, you can tell I've got a sour taste in my mouth about that. Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
dry.
so it was the table, the waiter,
and the menu.
And the menu had zero. Like they only have like maybe 2 options.
Right. So in the bottom right of the menu, they make a little note that says, "If you have allergies, please tell your server." Okay. And then only on the online menu that we saw that there were some GF for gluten-free and then V for vegan. And they were really proud to call themselves vegan. It's actually on the sign outside. It says Italian, John's on 12, Italian vegan options. But it didn't really show that in their,
on their printed menu.
Yeah, I didn't see that so much. So anyway, they got 0 stars. So we would say eat there at your own risk.
Yes. Yeah, just you would have to ask a lot of questions. And again, I didn't have a reaction there, but.
And maybe don't go on a night where it's really busy.
Yeah, this was a Saturday or some Saturday.
We just had such a great experience with it before. But again, it wasn't busy. And this was a Saturday night that we went and it was very busy. So
yeah. So
maybe
just plan ahead. Yeah, if you go there, plan ahead.
All right. So that's all for this part 1. Stay tuned for part 2, where we come in with the rest of our restaurant reviews. And the only review that got total 5 stars around it, but at the same time, we didn't even order from a menu.